Today we're going to cover putting. I'm going to walk you through how I changed my putting and from one tournament to the next, over a 2-month span, dropped 10 strokes on my putts per round. Here's how I went through the process. The first step is I went out and I assessed every aspect of my game and tried to figure out how I could improve my putting. And it's really started with a self-reflection. I had to figure out what kind of stroke worked the best for me because it had to be consistent, as I was so locked up with my putting mechanics that I would forget to hit the putt the proper speed. I was focused on all the wrong things. So I needed to learn to focus on the right things, and I'm going to share those with you today. The first thing I highly recommend is go out and get a ball marker. So I went out and did this. I found this, you can get this on Amazon for $4.99 for like a pack of 8. So here's what it looks like up close. Okay, so put that on the ball. And I'm going to make an alignment marking. And this is crucial because when you combine this aid with the putter that I ended up purchasing, you can see that you can now have alignment between the putter face and the ball. And when you're putting at 10 feet, if you're off by more than 2 degrees, you're going to miss the putt. 90% of the ball start line when you're putting is influenced by where the putter face is aimed. So aiming your putter face to get ball line is crucial. The next step, I went and looked at different training aids to try to feel a perfect or proper stroke. This is called the Ideal Stroke Putting Track, and it's used to train the putter head path. Over here, I have an alignment rod between 2 baskets, and this training aid focuses on how the head movement is, and what I've used focuses on the grip end. All right, so what we need to do is find a straight putt, and whether we utilize this Ideal track, which works really well for blade putters and not as well as mallets because they have different designs on the back of the heel portion of the putter, so they don't always sit flush to the training aid. I can never take the feels from this track to the course. The reason I like this alignment rod is because it doesn't matter what type of putter you had, the shaft rests up against it as a guide, and then you can make your putting strokes. Okay. So I would practice on this until I developed feels that allowed me to be consistent with my putting stroke. When I take this putter back, yes, it appears very straight back and straight through for the first foot or so, foot and a half. But as you go back longer, because the shaft contacts the line further down, it allows the putter head to arc in. So it's still, while the shaft plane is straight back and straight through for the feel, the putter head still has arc to it. There is no such thing as a straight back, straight through for a good putting stroke. Because if you do straight back, straight through, you're going to have to anti-rotate the putter in both directions, and that does not produce flow. What you want to do is get the putter soled off the ground. I actually hover it a little bit, so that way when I take it back, it's going back smoothly, back and forth. And it's simply tracking the shaft plane line the way it's designed. The first step is developing a consistent stroke. That way you can make consistent contact. Once you've developed a good stroke and you're making solid contact, then you transition to line putting. And what we're going to do is set up about a 10-foot line. And I like working on line with straight putts because that way I'm not having to play with break and speed. So we set up, and if I can take my feel for a proper stroke, you can make 10-foot putts. So So once you feel like you can consistently putt and keep the ball on line, and I would practice and try to make 10 of these in a row. And when I was training, I finally got to the point where I could do that. And as soon as you can start holing 10 putts in a row from 10 feet, you know that you've got your face angle within 2 degrees and you're controlling face very well. So we worked on our strokes path with the guide as well as contact. Then we focus on line. The next part of putting is speed. And the next thing I would do is set up a line behind the hole that was about 12 to 18 inches. And then I would try to get the ball into the hole, and if it missed, I wanted it to miss just as close to that line as possible. I never wanted the ball to go racing past this line behind it. So practicing the speed part of it, I would set up with a line behind the I'd set up with a line behind the hole as a barrier. And I would try to get the ball to go past the hole, but no further than that stick that's about 12 to 18 inches. I use 18 inches because I tend to be a die putter, and I want to make sure that the ball got to the hole. I mean, if you make the putt, unfortunately, that's good. That means you have proper speed. But if you're going to miss one, let me see if I can miss one. Let me see if I can just kind of pull one, and we'll look at speed. So you can see how this one's going to go racing past and jump the fence. So I would play a game and assign points. So I'd say a hole out is 5 points. I might say something past the hole, but just short of the stick might be 3 points. If it's short of the hole, then I would give it a minus points, because if it never gets to the hole, it's never going in. And so you're constantly giving yourself feedback. You have the proper line, and you've trained yourself now to start feeling the proper speed to get the ball within 18 inches of the hole. You're going to start making a lot more putts. The next part of putting is going to be green reading, how we read the greens. So we've already got the straight line, but let's say that our ball is over in this position. So we've got some break to deal with. How do we read the green? And I can't, unfortunately, show you a really, really long putt, but what I do is I divide it up into thirds. Because the first third is going to be where the ball is traveling the fastest. The second third, the ball is going to begin to slow, and it's going to have more break effect. And by the time you get to the last third, that's where majority of the break is going to take place. So what I do is I look at the last third first, and I try to figure out with my feet kind of walking around the hole where the straight line is. So this feels like it's uphill towards this direction to the right a little bit. So I'm going to walk back to the left, back to the right, and then I think I found the straight putt over here. So this is the straight putt line. Okay? Now if I'm putting from over here, depending on the angle between where my ball is on a straight line to the hole and this angle for the actual straight line, that's going to determine the severity of the break when the ball starts dying towards the hole. So because this is a shorter putt, now that I read it in, I get behind it, I say, okay, the ball's going to come in, and when it dies, it's going to try to die on that angle. So this looks like it's going to be a little bit uphill, and I'm going to play the ball about, looks like to get it down that line, it's going to be about 1 cup outside to the left edge. So I've got set up, I've got my aim. I'm always aiming from behind the ball. Never aim the putter to the side, because you have a skewed vision. You have one eye closer to the hole and they're at a tilted angle. You do a lot better assessment of line and speed from behind. So I try to get my putter feels with speed looking from behind. I've got the alignment, I've got the line down, I'm feeling for speed, and as soon as I get set up over the putt, all I'm thinking is speed and staying locked into that speed that I had. And because I had good speed, that died in on the top side of the hole. Ways to set up for the putter. These are some crucial things. We have our weight a little bit forward. I have a little bit more weight on my left side or lead side than I do on my trail side. Another key element is shaft alignment. And what I mean by that is, where is it in relation to the forearms? Am I putting like this, which is going to give me a lot more roll and arc, or do I put it with it down the forearm line or forearm plane? So here's how I get set up to it. To help me feel where my plane line should be, I put it in a two-dimensional, because as soon as we start bending over, everything kind of gets lost. So I get set up. I'm going to get my wrists in a neutral position and get the forearms in line with the head with the club level. From there, this is the putting stroke. That's a great feel for it because the putter is not going up or down. It's very easy to see where square is. So those muscles that I'm using to move the putter right now, those are my muscles that I'm going to use when I'm in a more bent over position addressing the actual ball. This drill will help you feel what a proper putting stroke feels like. It should feel like you're activating the muscles in the back, retracting them on the trail side to take the putter head back. And then as the putter head starts to swing down and you're relaxing the trail side muscles, the lead side is going to start activating the back muscles as you start retracting it to pull the putter head into the follow through. The putting stroke is a back activated retraction motion. So it is pulling the putter back and pulling the putter through. Activating the big muscles in the back and shoulders with this pulling action will help the shoulder girdle move around the spine. It'll keep the spine stationary to help stabilize your body to produce a repeatable putting stroke. We're going to get set up on the horizontal plane, get a feel for the muscles that we use to move the putter. We're going to bend over at the waist to get the shaft down to 45 degrees, and then we're going to release the elbows. From there, we're set up, ready to hit the putt. And it goes in the hole. It's a very consistent, repeatable stroke. So that's a way that you can feel how to hit the proper stroke when you're on the course and you don't have the alignment aids. It's very easy to get set up like that, but a big key is getting the forearms in line with the shaft angle. And the reason this is important is because when you're putting, you do not want to have any force above the grip line. And what I mean by that is, if I have my hands on top of the putter, when I'm putting in force, I'm going to create a rolling effect because I'm pushing on top of the grip. I want all of the force to be to the side of the handle. This is kind of why people use the claw grip. They go like this. I'm just saying what I do is I can still grip it normally, but because I focus on getting the putter, letting it hang naturally in a balanced position, and then I input a force to the side of the grip this way and the side of the grip this way, the grip, I can push the grip from the sides and let it swing as it's designed in a pendulum fashion. But if I get the hands out of position or on top, which is common when you have a smaller grip, this is why I play a very large, oversized grip. And it's not because I'm a bad putter, but it's because it actually allows me to feel like I get my hand to the side of it more and can push in the shaft plane line rather than being above it, creating a rolling effect. Because remember, 90% of where the ball goes is where the face is aimed. So I want to have my force in line with this shaft plane angle, so that way the putter head arcs, but it tracks square to its shaft plane. Other drills that you can do once you want to start working on break, because you've got your speed down. But I'll work on 9-foot putts, moving kind of around a circle. I hope you get the point. I'm not going to do a lot of them, but or take my time on these. But I would set this up like a tournament and count out of 10 how many I make. So I go. Okay, there's one miss. One make. So I'm 1 out of 2. All right, there's 2 out of 3. And 3 out of 4. And that from 10 feet, the average amateur makes about, I think it's about 5 to 10% of their putts. We've got our stroke worked out now. We're able to hit line. We're able to hold putts up to 10 feet on line. We've got speed control, and we've got putts where we've worked on our break. Now let's work on 3-putt avoidance. So I'm going to set this up just like I would play on the course. I play a game. I challenge myself to an 18-hole putting match, and I have it assessed relative to par. So everything is a 2-putt. So if I make it in 1, that's 1 under. And I just keep track of my stroke. So a bogey would be a 3-putt. And what I'm trying to do is avoid 3 putts or avoid bogeys. Once I get the alignment taken care of, it looks good, the line looks good, I'm just locking into speed. Okay, it's a little short, but it is an easy 2-putt for par. The better you get at this, the fewer 3-putts you'll have. And if you start having proper speed, even at those distances, you'll be surprised at every once in a while you'll drop a putt. I set my line, lock into speed, stay connected to that line, sole the putter, look up once, stroke the putt. It's just that easy, but you got to put in the work. Hit the like button, subscribe, and provide any feedback or comments.